Welcome to another episode of the New York Double Play podcast, a James Nolan podcast. I'm your host, James Nolan. Let's get right into the wonderful day for the New York Mets that started off very slow. Thankfully, Kodai Senga kept the Mets in position to win that game, and he looked great. And Carlos Rodon, we're going to talk about him specifically because the Yankees haven't really gotten anything from their starters outside of Max Fried. And Carlos Rodon, actually, in my opinion, looked pretty good to start the game. Home runs killed him, let up 2 home runs. So he finished the day with only 3 hits allowed, but 2 of those hits were home runs, 4 earned runs on Carlos Rodon's line. So I want to talk about him, specifically his numbers at the end of the day. They didn't look great, but he still pitched good enough to keep the Yankees in a position to win the game. But he still is getting paid $165 million over his contract with the New York Yankees. So they kind of do need him to pitch better than what he did today, but he still pitched good. So I'm going to touch on Carlos Rodon. I'm going to touch on Ben Rice, who's been performing, I think, better than anybody expected to start 2025. But let's start off with the Mets because the Mets just capped off a series victory over the Athletics, not the Oakland Athletics, not the Las Vegas Athletics, not the Sacramento Athletics, just simply the Athletics with no name. But the Athletics are now 6-10. The Mets move on to 10-5, first in the National League East, right above the Philadelphia Phillies. And something that you like to see, because I know it's early on in the year. It's only 15 games in, but the Mets have been the best division the best team in the best division in baseball through the first 15 games. And they've done it without Juan Soto scorching hot, without Francisco Lindor scorching hot, without Mark Vientos, Brandon Nimmo, who's picked it up in his past 3 games. But really, outside of Pete Alonso, nobody has been a consistent threat in the lineup for this 10-5 best team in the best division in baseball team. So that's a very good sign in my eyes. Now, the pitching is going to come back down to earth, but I still think that the pitching is going to be good throughout this year because if any indication from last year where Sean Manaea, Luis Severino, Jose Quintana, like the Mets got the best out of those guys, and that's thanks to Jeremy Hefner, thanks to David Stearns, building such a great staff of pitching coaches with this Mets organization. So I'm not going to be shocked if Griffin Cannon has a good year or a decent year, and that's really all you need him to be because at the end of the day, Griffin Cannon's a number 5. He pitched pretty well in this series. David Peterson, I think David Peterson is due for another big season. Last year, joins the rotation after getting hip surgery, pitches to a 2.90 ERA, goes into the postseason out of the bullpen, and he was shoving against the LA Dodgers, the Philadelphia Phillies, and the Milwaukee Brewers, 3 90-win teams that he pitched very well against. And so far, David Peterson has looked very good. He has a 2.70 ERA through his first 3 starts. And then I want to talk about Kodai Senga to start it because Kodai Senga looked like the 2023 version that he was so good in that season when he pitched to a 2.98 ERA, when he had over 200 strikeouts, where he went 12-7. Senga was a top 10 pitcher in MLB in 2023. So going into this year, going into last year specifically, every Met fan, every baseball fan thought Kodai Senga would be the ace of the staff. Unfortunately, he got hurt. He comes back midsummer, Miami against the Miami Marlins. Actually against the Atlanta Braves, looked dominant in that start. And then he went down with a calf injury, came back for 2 starts in the postseason, one against the Phillies, which he did pretty well outside of one bad pitch to Kyle Schwarber. And then against the LA Dodgers, where they just teed off on him. But you really can't knock him for that because that was his second appearance. His third appearance actually against the Dodgers. His third appearance all year. But so far in 2025, Kodai Senga has looked great. Today, going 7 innings, the most that we've gotten out of a starter. David Peterson has gone 6 innings twice. Kodai Senga going 7 innings, keeping the pitch count low. Didn't throw over 90 pitches. Senga looked great today. He wasn't striking everybody out. He wasn't getting the swing and misses like he usually does. But I still think this is the best version of Kodai Senga that I've seen with the Mets, even including the great year he had in 2023, where he finished 7th in NL Cy Young vote and top 5 in ERA, top 5 in strikeouts per 9. Senga was an ace in 2023. So going into this year, a lot of people were saying the Mets need an ace. The Mets don't have an ace. Who are they going to get as an ace? Are they going to trade for Sandy Alcantara, which I think would be a good trade, a good move that they still might make. But I think a lot of people forgot about Kodai Senga because Senga is an ace. He has the stuff to be an ace. Like, he's a competitor. Like, he wants to be out there, and he's got the stuff. So when you got a competitor with stuff, that you're an ace in that regret. So Senga, like I said, in 2023, he was an all-star. In 2023, top 5 in ERA, 12-7 record, top 5 in strikeouts per 9, over 200 total strikeouts. So I'm not surprised to see Kodai Senga go 7 innings, only 4 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts today. He pitched great. He lowered his ERA now to a 1.06 on the season. He's now 2-1. Senga actually hasn't allowed a single run in his past 2 starts. And going back to his first start where he only allowed 2 earned runs in the first inning against the Marlins. So now in Senga's 4 innings against the Marlins without any earned runs. You got 5 innings against Miami. Let's just do some simple math here. That's 9 plus 7, 16 innings. The last 16 innings, Kodai Senga hasn't allowed an earned run. This guy screams ace to me. I'm sorry. The Mets have an ace, and it's Kodai Senga. If you don't think that, then you're out of your mind. I mean, his forkball is practically unhittable. Like, nobody can hit that forkball. His fastball touches the upper 90s. Doesn't really have any movement on that four seam, but, he throws it hard enough to get it by hitters. He's got a very good slider. And like I said, just the tangibles with him. His competitiveness is what I really like. He's a competitor. He kept the Mets, even though the Mets didn't score up until the 8th inning. Up until the 6th inning. They scored 1 run in the 6th on a Louis Torrens base knock, thankfully, and then 2 in the 7th. But outside of that, the first 5 innings, it was a nothing ball game, and Kodai Senga did his job, which is to keep the Mets in a position to win, and that's really all you want out of these starters, especially without Sean Manaea, without Frankie Montas. You want these starters like Griffin Cannon, Tyler McGill, those 2 specifically, Clay Holmes as well. You can throw him in there, even though I expect a little bit more out of Clay Holmes soon. All they have to do, those 3 guys, is keep the Mets in a position to win. But the 2 front-end starters right now, it's Kodai Senga and David Peterson. And let's go into game 2, pitch and performance for David Peterson. I was kind of annoyed that we didn't win that game. David Peterson looked great. He did allow 7 hits, but he didn't have his best stuff. Like, let's put it right there. David Peterson, it didn't look like he had his best stuff yesterday, but he still battled. And that showed me a lot because in the past, when David Peterson didn't have his best stuff, he got rocked. David Peterson didn't have his best stuff yesterday, and he went 6 innings, only allowed 2 earned runs on 7 hits, struck out 5. So in my mind, Peterson pitched a great game yesterday. He's now 1-1 because that was his first loss of the season, even though he went 6 innings and only allowed 2 earned runs because the Mets offense didn't do squat, and we're going to touch on that in a bit. And then let's jump to Friday's pitching performance. Friday's pitching performance, in my mind, by Griffin Cannon was very well. Griffin Cannon only allowed 1 run through his first 5 innings, then allowed 3 runs in the 6th, kind of like a Carlos Rodon, what he did today for the Yankees, which I'm going to touch on that. But Cannon, in my mind, he pitched very well too. Like, he went 5.1 innings, final line didn't look too great, 7 hits, 4 runs allowed, 3 strikeouts, 3 walks. But, he kept the Mets in a position to win, and they ended up winning that game, and he got the win. So now Griffin Cannon's 1-for-1 on the year. His ERA did take a spike up going into this start. Griffin Cannon only had a 2.79 ERA, but allowing 3 runs in his final inning of work on Friday night. Didn't do his stat line too well for the year. It jumped up to a 4.20. But Cannon still pitched well. Kept the Mets in position to win the game. Thankfully, Pete Alonso went absolutely off. Had multiple RBIs. Had multiple extra base hits. Had home run in the, I believe, the top of the 8th inning, I want to say, that really came up clutch because the Mets only won by 1 run because of Edwin Diaz blunder at the end. So let's talk about it game by game this series. Game 1, we went over all the starters, so we're not going to jump into the starters right now. But let's talk about Edwin Diaz and the concerns with him, because Edwin Diaz got his 3rd save of the year on Friday night, but he still allowed 2 earned runs, walked 2, allowed a hit. So everybody's worried about Edwin Diaz, and I understand. Edwin Diaz now has a 7.94 ERA in the year, but he has not blown a save. I'm not saying he's pitched great because he hasn't blown a save, but we got to relax. Edwin Diaz has yet to blow a save through the first 15 games of the year. They're going to come. Don't get me wrong. Edwin Diaz is going to blow saves here and there. That's just what happens when you're a closing pitcher in baseball. It's like almost undoable. You're eventually going to blow a save. Even in 2022, he blew a few saves here and there. But the reason I'm not worried about Edwin Diaz is because through 6 games, only one batter has hit the ball hard off him, and that was against Miami on the 9th, a home run, and that's it. One bad pitch so far in my mind. So, because it was left over the plate. Outside of that, it's just control issues. Like, it's just walks. Like, you look at his past few games, like, it's been walks that killed him. The reason, like, you look at his first game of the year against the Houston Astros. He didn't allow a hit, struck out one guy, clean inning, clean save, got his first save of the year, no walks. Second appearance against Miami, no walks, clean inning. Against Toronto, he allowed 2 hits, but no walks, and he struck out 3, no runs, clean inning. Again, against Toronto the following day, no walks, 1 strikeout. The past 2 appearances from Edwin Diaz, what's killed him is the walks. He had 2 walks against Miami, so that obviously didn't bode too well because 2 walks led to 3 earned runs on one of the home runs. And then his most recent appearance on Friday night, 2 leadoff walks. 1 leadoff walk, a base knock, and then another walk, and that led to 2 earned runs. So Edwin Diaz's problem right now is just walks. And really, it's only been in his last 2 appearances. So I'm not too concerned about Edwin Diaz because 1, like I said before, he hasn't blown a save. And 2, it's really command issues. It's not velocity. It's not his stuff. It's not his slider. Edwin Diaz is still one of the hardest pitchers in the game to hit. That is a fact. The reason Edwin Diaz has had 2 back-to-back blunders is because of walks, and that's it. As long as he commands the zone, Edwin Diaz will save as many games as he can this year. So I am not worried about Edwin Diaz as much as everybody else is. Like, it's not like he's getting hit hard. It's not like he's leaving the ball over the plate. The only thing Edwin Diaz is doing wrong right now, he's not pounding the zone. And when he pounds the zone, when he gets ahead and counts, he's able to use that wicked slider. He's able to throw that fastball up in the zone that hitters just love to swing at. But when he's getting behind in the count and he's putting runners on, 1 base knock in 1 inning will lead to a run. It's that simple. It was Clay Holmes last year with the Yankees. He walked a guy, let up a hit, and then next thing you know, if he walked another guy, the next hit would lead to 2 runs. So that's the problem with closing. Like, it's a very pressure-filled role. But I want Edwin Diaz still there because he's the guy I trust the most. He's the guy in that bullpen with the best stuff. Who else would you rather have the Mets close down games in the 9th inning? Even though Ryan Stanek's having a great start to the year, you wouldn't want Ryan Stanek. You don't want Max Kranick because you want Max Kranick in that multi-inning role. You don't want Jose Butto. You don't want Danny Young. AJ Minter, I guess you can make the case for. But outside of AJ Minter, there's nobody else I could even debate with anybody to put over Edwin Diaz in that 9th inning because Edwin Diaz is that guy. And Edwin Diaz does have better stuff than AJ Minter. So as long as Edwin Diaz gets ahead in the count, as long as he throws strikes, he is going to have a very good year. I am not worried off of 2 bad appearances and back-to-back starts. His command was off, and that's it. It was the command. You can fix the command stuff. You can't fix broken stuff, right? It would be one thing if Edwin Diaz's velocity was significantly dropping or a slider had a significant amount of less bite to it. His slider is still lethal. His fastball is still lethal. So I am not worried about his stuff. I'm worried about the command. Don't get me wrong. If he's walking guys, as I said before, the only time, like, he walked 2 guys on the 9th, and then he walked 2 guys on Friday night, 2 bad appearances. Outside of that, when he doesn't walk anybody, clean inning after clean inning. So I am not worried about Edwin Diaz just yet. All right, now let's talk about the offense in Game 1. Daniel Nunez can close. You're right, Jonathan. I do like that. Daniel Nunez, I think they're just waiting for him to go back-to-back games, and then he should get the call up. But I wouldn't mind seeing Daniel Nunez close down games But at the same time, it's like you want him going multiple innings because he was a guy last year who was able to go multiple innings before he went down with his injury. So that's the only way I'd say yes to Daniel Nunez is if like Edwin Diaz turns into that multiple inning guy or you find another multiple inning guy because his role last year was so important because I think it's even more important in this year is because when we have Griffin Cannon, we have Clay Holmes, we have Tyler McGill, who have really only been going 5 innings max. It would be so helpful to have Max Kronick one day, multiple innings, and then the next day, Daniel Nunez, multiple innings. And then, you got Jose Budo as that third guy. So you have 3 multi-inning guys you can kind of use almost as like second starters. And then you have Edwin Diaz, Ryan Stanek, Reed Garrett, and AJ Minter as those traditional bullpen arms that come in for 1 inning as a setup or closing. So I wouldn't want to use Daniel Nunez as the closer unless we got another multi-inning guy because his ability to go multiple innings, I think, would be huge for this year's team, even more important than it was for last year's team. So that's the only reason I wouldn't use Nunez in the closing role. But I do see your point in Daniel Nunez because he is a phenomenal arm. And even though as great as our bullpen has looked, like just think about that. Like Max Kronick, multiple innings. Like let's say we're going up against the Twins, right? So against the Twins tomorrow night, who do we have on the mound? I just want to make sure that I'm correct when I'm saying this. Yeah, we got Clay Holmes on the mound. Let's say Clay Holmes goes 5 innings, and we have Daniel Nunez. Max Kronick pitched tonight. So you have Daniel Nunez go 2 innings after Clay Holmes goes 5 innings. Right there, you're in the 7th inning. Then you can use Reed Garrett, Edwin Diaz. You can go AJ Minter, AJ Minter, Edwin Diaz. You can go Ryan Stanek, whatever combination of the Stanek, Minter, Garrett, and Diaz. You can use any of those 4 in those final 2 innings. And then the next day, I mean, instead of putting in Kronick or a Jose Budo 2 days in a row, you can mix it up because you have another multi-inning guy. You can use each one over the course of a 3-game series or even 4-game series. So Daniel Nunez, his arm will be so important to this bullpen once he's back. And who knows? Like those multiple innings could come in the 8th and 9th inning. Like, so he could not technically be the closer, but I mean, if he's going hot, striking out guys, and let's say he comes in like the 7th or the 8th inning, why not pitch him in the 9th inning for one more inning because he has that ability to do so. What else about Friday night's game? So the offense, I do want to touch on the offense because the offense, it wasn't like it with runners in scoring. Like we could have scored a lot more than 7 runs, and I know that's me being greedy, but this Mets offense has been lackluster all year. They still did put together a great night, but really the great night was because of Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso drove in 3 runs. Starlin Marte drove in 2 runs, and Brandon Nimmo drove in 1 run. Same thing with Louis Torrens. So it was really 4 guys. Like Lindor went 0 for 5. Soto went 1 for 4. Pete Alonso, he went off, absolutely off, 3 for 3, a home run, a double. And like I said, the 3 RBIs he had as well. Starlin Marte, only 1 hit, 1 for 5. It was a very clutch hit. Brandon Nimmo, 1 for 4 with a home run. And then Mark Vientos, 0 for 4. Luis Acuna did go 2 for 4, but he doesn't come up with runners in scoring position that much, considering he's in behind Brandon Nimmo and Mark Vientos. Louis Torrens, he came up clutch. He did drive in Luis Acuna. And then Jose Siri, when he got on base and he scored on that sac fly, that was huge. And Jose Siri going down does hurt. Like, I get it. He's not even hitting above 100 right now. And you can make that case that he is a terrible hitter. And I'm not saying he's a great hitter. But Jose Siri has won us 2 games already in the first 15 games. One, he might have won us more with the way he plays defense out in center field. So I think this is a big loss for the Mets with his injury. Because, like I said, already on the offensive side, Jose Siri has won us 2 games. Scoring on a Juan Soto ground out to the pitcher. Scoring on a Pete Alonso sac fly that he really didn't have any business on tagging up on. But the only guy who can really score, I feel like, in this entire league off a sac fly that shallow in right field is Jose Siri. So, yeah, Siri's loss sucks. It sucks. Because now we're going to have Tyrone Taylor. And Tyrone Taylor is not a terrible defender. He's not even a bad defender. Tyrone Taylor is a great Gold Glove caliber defender out in center field. But he's not Jose Siri on the base paths. We saw that today when Tyrone Taylor got not doubled up on a bunt, but Acuna places a bunt down, which was actually, it was a pretty good bunt. And then if Tyrone Taylor just slides or hustles a little bit more, we got runners potentially on first and second rather than just a runner on first that was Luis Acuna because he got the fielder's choice there. But, I mean, with his speed, and let's say Siri's on the base path on first base there, Siri's getting that. Siri's getting the second. And then Acuna, he has the speed to get to first. So we could have had runners on first and second there. So Siri's loss does matter more than some may think. Because like I said, he's already won us 2 games with his base running. And like I said, with his defense, he's actually might have won us more. So it does suck. Now, what do they do? What do the Mets do? Well, they got some options. They can call up somebody from the minor leagues because Jose Siri is going to go on the IL. He was walking in crutches today at today's game. So probably Tyrone Taylor, I'd say, get the majority of the play in center field because that's what he's here for, to be that backup center fielder. Joey Manessa is an option down in the minors. He's absolutely raking right now. Jose Azocar is an option for the Mets, who's in AAA, but he's not performing too well. So I would think it might be Joey Manessa. I think it would be a good message to send to these guys in the minors. Like, hey, if you perform well, we will reward you and call you up. So I think it should be Joey Manessa, but that doesn't mean that he's going to be getting a chunk of playing time if he gets called up. But he is performing well in AAA, so I feel like that would make sense. But, you know, they also do have some other options. They could put Starlin Marte in left field, shift Brandon Nimmo over to center field for a few games. Jesse Winker can go to left. Nimmo can play center. Maybe you get Acuna some reps in center field. Maybe take advantage of that. Not, you know, it sucks to take advantage of anybody's absence, but maybe you do take advantage of it and try to see if Acuna can get some reps out there, because if Acuna's good in center field, then maybe we just find a spot for Acuna in the everyday lineup. Because even if Acuna's only hitting 200, like, it's better than Siri hitting 100 or Tyrone Taylor hitting 150. He's got the speed that Jose Siri has. He's a demon on the base paths like Jose Siri. So if he's an above average defender or even an average defender in center field, maybe you just roll the dice with Acuna being your everyday center fielder. So maybe this is a time where you can kind of plug Acuna out there and see what he's got in center, because that would be huge. It would be absolutely huge. But I feel like the best option would be, you know, Tyrone Taylor, and that's the most likely one to get the majority of the playing time. And then maybe if you pinch hit for him for like a Jesse Winker or Starlin Marte, then you just shift over Brandon Nimmo back to center field. Like, he played a great center field in 2022. I know it's 2 years removed from that, but, you know, he's an above average defender. He's not a below average defender by any stretch out there in center. So Mets have some options, but it does suck losing Jose Siri. All right, so Pete Alonso went off, and Pete Alonso, I know he went 0 for 8 after Friday night's game, but he still had great at-bats in those last 2 games. He had a 12-pitch at-bat today, did ground out into a double play, but the 12-pitch at-bat really, really intrigues me, because even when Pete Alonso is getting out, he's still putting together good at-bats. So I think this is a different Pete Alonso. I think this might be the best year Pete Alonso will ever have, because his swing speed is the best it's ever been in his entire career. His average exit velocity is the best it's been in his entire career. And like, even the sac fly he had the other night that we thought was just a rinky-dinky pop-up, it was over 99 miles per hour on the exit velocity chart. So he's hitting the ball hard. He's swinging the bat hard, and it's working because the ball is going far and it's going out hard. He's already got 4 home runs on the year. Like, let's take a look at where Pete Alonso ranks as of now. I know just the other day he was first in OPS, even above Aaron Judge. He was first in the NL in batting average, only second in the MLB, right behind George Springer of the Toronto Blue Jays. But right now, he's 4th in OPS in the entire MLB, only behind Aaron Judge, Jung-Hoo Lee, Corbin Carroll. He's above Kyle Tucker. He's above Spencer Torkelson, who the Mets almost traded for in the offseason. He's above George Springer. You look at batting average numbers, but in the National League, actually, he's 3rd. Yeah, Corbin Carroll and Jung-Hoo Lee, unfortunately, playing the National League. Batting average. Pete Alonso ranks 19th in MLB in batting average right now with a .321 batting average. Home run-wise, he's 20th, tied for 20th. Just because Chaz Chisholm Jr. has 5. You know, Kyle Schwarber, I mean, he's going to hit a ton. Aaron Judge, obviously, with 6 as well. But 2 interesting characters up at the top of this home run list this year is Tommy Edman, who's not known for being a powerful swinger, and this is going to ring a lot of bells with a lot of you Mets fans watching right now. Wilmer Flores leads the MLB in home runs with 6 home runs. Wilmer Flores is having a great year with the San Francisco Giants, actually. He's got 19 RBIs and 863 OPS, a 255 batting average, and 6 home runs. And last year, he actually had a really good he had a down year last year. I mean, 2 years ago, he had a really good year. In 2023, with the San Francisco Giants, he had probably his best year of his career. He hit 284. He had an 864 OPS, and he hit 23 home runs and drove in 60 runs. So Wilmer Flores, I think he's 34 years old right now, but he's kind of like, he's a guy you're always going to root for. Obviously not when we play the San Francisco Giants, but it is nice to see Wilmer, because Wilmer is just one of the most beloved Mets from that 2015 team. So good for Wilmer Flores. And also his team won 9-1 today against the New York Yankees, who we're going to get into. And Wilmer Flores, let's check his stat line today. Wilmer Flores went 0 for 3. Oh, man. But he still had a sac fly. All right. But yeah, Pete Alonso's going off. It's the best he's ever looked. Like, I'm going to look at his Baseball Savant page right now just to see what his numbers look like after a rough 2 games. But right now, his bad run value is 97th percentile, which is 8th in the entire MLB. His expected batting average is a 338. So his expected batting average is actually better than his current batting average. That's how hard he's hitting the ball. His average exit velocity is in the 98th percentile. He's averaging 96.3 miles per hour each time he hits the ball. His barrel percentage, his barrel percentage is in the 100th percentile. That is insane. His hard hit percentage is in the 99th percentile. His sweet spot percentage in the 86th percentile. So even though his sweet spot, like, he's not hitting the bat, he's not hitting the ball in a sweet spot, but he's still hitting the ball hard. And 86th percentile is still pretty good. His bat speed is in the 97th percentile among MLB players. And this is the best part, I think. They're not as good as the other numbers, like how hard he's hitting the ball, but his whiff percentage is in the 85th percentile. His strikeout percentage is in the 86th percentile. His walk percentage is in the 79th percentile right now. So he's walking more, he's striking out less, and he's swinging at a lot less bad pitches. And that was the MO for Pete Alonso in 2023 and 2024. He was swinging at bad pitches. He was getting behind in the count. He was not walking, and he was striking out. So far this year, strikeouts are down, walks are up. He's seen a lot of pitches, and he's hitting the ball very hard. And he is a big, strong guy, as he would call himself. So good for Pete. Nobody has needed a hotter start to the year than Pete Alonso. And he'll be the hottest first baseman on the open market after the year again. So it'll be fun. We're going to have to go through it again. We're all going to be saying pay Pete Alonso, and hopefully David Stearns and Steve Cohen pay Pete Alonso. Because I'll tell you this, if the Mets didn't re-sign Pete Alonso, we wouldn't be 10-5 and first in the NL East right now, because our first baseman would be Mark Vientos. Mark Vientos, who did get 2 RBIs today, one on a walk, on a bases-loaded walk, and another on an RBI double. But Mark Vientos would be our first baseman, and Mark Vientos is hitting 130 this year. And then Brett Beatty, who's hitting 139, would be our everyday third baseman. So thank the Lord that the Mets were able to re-sign Pete Alonso, because if we didn't, then we would be screwed right now, because Juan Soto isn't hitting. Francisco Lindor, he's kind of hidden. He had a very good game today. It's like every other day Francisco Lindor goes off. But outside of that, it's been really just Pete Alonso. It's been Pete Alonso only in this lineup that has consistently put together great at-bats and put the ball in playing field very hard, to the point where it's either a home run or an extra base hit. And it's usually driving in a run. So thank God we got Pete back. All right, now I want to touch on some of the young guys, and then I want to touch on Juan Soto. Tyrone Taylor, sitting 176. That sucks. But like I said, Luisangel Acuna, I talked about before, maybe play in center field, but he's won this competition against Brett Beatty at the MLB level. So when Jeff McNeil comes back, I fully expect Brett Beatty to go down to AAA again. It sucks because I wanted Brett Beatty to break out. I still think he has a little bit, he has maybe like a week left to prove that he should stay on this roster. But unfortunately for him, if he's not hitting the crap out of the ball, there's really no way that you can make a case for Brett Baty to stay on this team. Acuna, he's only hitting, like I mentioned before, Brett Baty's only hitting 139. Acuna's only hitting 214. But the things that Acuna offers you, his elite defense up the middle. Like I said, he has the ability to even play center field to the point where I think they might even try it out while Jose Siri is out. And his speed on the base paths. He's a demon out there on the base paths. He's already got 3 stolen bases on the year. He has more extra base hits than Baty. He's obviously got the better batting average. He strikes out a lot less. He's only got how many strikeouts? 5? Yeah, he's only struck out 5 times now. In how many plate appearances? In 29 plate appearances? Yeah, in 29 plate appearances, he's only struck out 5 times, whereas Brett Baty struck out twice today, and going into today, he had 13 strikeouts. So Brett Baty's up to 15 strikeouts. So if Brett Baty doesn't go 4 for 4 in one of these games, because we're facing 3 righties against the Minnesota Twins coming up, if Brett Baty doesn't go 4 for 4 in one of those games, I really don't think he stays on this team once Jeff McNeil gets back. And Jeff McNeil will be back very soon. And Jeff McNeil is putting together good performances down there in Port St. Lucie, along with Francisco Alvarez. So we are getting some reinforcements back. This lineup hasn't done too well, but we are going to get some reinforcements back at the bottom of the order, because it's really been the bottom of the order. Francisco Lindor has done his job. He's been playing great. And we all know his numbers are going to be subpar in March and April, and it sucks, but that's just the way Francisco Lindor is. But he did go 2 for 5 today. Had an RBI double and then another double an RBI double and then a single. He reached base 3 times today, scored once. Pete Alonso, obviously, like I said before, he's having a terrific start to the year, hitting 321 right now with a 660 slug percentage, 431 on base percentage. But I want to touch on Juan Soto, because Juan Soto, his on base percentage, he's getting on base. Like he's on base percentage right now is 409, but he's not hitting. Like it's weird. He's not hitting. Juan Soto went 0 for 3 today with a strikeout. It looked like he was uncomfortable, especially on Friday night, I think it was, I want to say, when he looked like he almost tore his shoulder, which I got very nervous about, because that's something that, when Michael Conforto just a few years ago, he had a swing like that and his shoulder just completely got torn apart and he was out for the entire year and he was never the same after that. So thank God Juan Soto was okay. But yeah, right now Soto's only hitting 250 with a 385 slugging percentage, 409 on base percentage, so he's still getting on base. But I mean, since the final game in Miami, Soto only has 1 hit in his last 4 games, and that's very un-Juan Soto-like. He only has 1 home run on the year, and that came over 15 days ago now. So yeah, like Soto just isn't playing like Juan Soto. I'm not worried, because I know Juan Soto is going to be Juan Soto. I know Juan Soto is going to take off. If anything, I'm kind of excited about this, because the Mets are 10-5, first in the National League East, even without their superstar 26-year-old right fielder performing at the level we all know he can perform at, and we all know he will perform at. Because it's not like Pete Alonso a few years ago where it's like, oh, like he might suck all year. Like Juan Soto sucking is hitting 250 with a 409 on base percentage. That's really good to suck. Like if those were Brett Baty's numbers, we would be talking about those numbers completely different. But it's Juan Soto, and we expect a lot out of Juan Soto. He just signed that $800 million contract. Well, really $750, but with all the incentives, it could go up to $800. But we just know that Juan Soto is going to perform well, because really, he really's never had a bad year. The only bad year he had was in 2022, and that was because he was hurt, and he had a 778 OPS. But outside of that, let's go over Soto's numbers throughout his career. Just last year in 2024, 288 batting average, 419 on base percentage, 988 OPS. Only struck out 119 times too. 2023, a 929 OPS, and this is without Aaron Judge, by the way. No Aaron Judge in this lineup from 2023 with the Padres. 929 OPS, 410 on base percentage, 275 batting average, 35 home runs, 109 RBIs. 2022 with the Nationals. Well, let's go over his Nationals numbers and than his Padres numbers after he got traded. 2022 with the Padres, he got traded there. He only had a 778 OPS, but he did go off in the playoffs that year. 22 with the Nationals before he got traded, 893 OPS, 246 batting average. 21, he hit 313 with a 999 OPS. He had how many RBIs? 29 home runs, 95 RBIs. 2020, he went absolutely off. Shortened season, but he still hit 351, 490 on base percentage, 1.185 OPS. 2019, now we're out of the 2020s. 2019, when they won the World Series, I believe. 282 batting average, 949 OPS, 34 home runs, 110 RBIs. And then his rookie year, he had 22 home runs, 70 RBIs, 292 batting average with a 923 OPS. So Juan Soto is going to be Juan Soto. I just read you his career numbers. Juan Soto is not going to hit 250 the whole entire year. Like, it's just not going to happen. And Juan Soto, this is the series I think he can take off, because we're facing 3 right-handers back to back to back. Joe Ryan is one of those right-handers that will be facing tomorrow night. And last year he had a pretty good year, 3.60 ERA, but he did let up 19 home runs. That's a lot of home runs. And then you look at his numbers prior to that year in 2023, he pitched to a 4.51 ERA and let up 32 home runs. So we're facing a Joe Ryan who lets up a lot of home runs. So this is not only Soto's chance to break out, but the entire lineup's chance to break out. So that will be on, that's actually on Tuesday night. That's my bad. Or no, that is Monday night. That is Monday night. We have no clue who we're facing Tuesday yet. Is that right? No clue who we're facing Tuesday yet. It's still undisclosed. But we will be facing Bailey Ober in this series. I hope I said his name right. But Bailey Ober, I don't know as much as I know about him as Joe Ryan, but I mean, he pitched pretty good over his past 3 years, except this year so far. He's got a 7.11 ERA in his first 3 starts. He's let up 3 home runs and 10 runs in 12.2 innings, so that's not that good. But their pitching sucks. Twins pitching has sucked this year. But 3.21 ERA in 22. Only allowed 4 home runs, so pretty good year. 3.43 ERA in 23. Let up 22 home runs. 27 home runs allowed in 24 with a 3.98 ERA. So Bailey Ober, I mean, that's another guy that, we can rake off of, and we should rake off of, because, I'm looking at this team right now. They are 17th in ERA with a 4.05 ERA. They've already let up 16 home runs, which isn't great. And then you compare that with the Mets pitching staff. I mean, the Mets pitching staff, a 2.47 team ERA, first in the entire MLB. Only 7 home runs allowed by the Mets pitching staff, which is first in the entire MLB. Like, K per 9, 4th in the entire MLB with a 9.58 K per 9. The Mets pitching, man. There's not much more you can say about this Mets pitching staff so far to start the year. But back to Juan Soto. I am not worried about Juan Soto. Juan Soto is going to break out. And like I said, if anything, I am happy that Juan Soto is slumping and the Mets are still 10-5, first in the National League East, because that basically means when Juan Soto starts to go off, and we got to expect this pitching to come back down to earth a little bit. So once that happens, if Juan Soto goes off, the Mets should still be able to win a surplus of games, and the Mets should have a very good 2025 thanks to Juan Soto. And Pete Alonso as well. If we have a breakout year from Pete Alonso again, with Juan Soto being Juan Soto, Lindor, obviously, after April, he turns into a different type of player. Like Mark Vientos, if he starts to heat up, like there's so many things going wrong for the Mets right now, and they're still managing to win series. They still have the only team in MLB right now that hasn't lost back-to-back games is the New York Mets. So a great start to the year so far, record-wise. Subpar start to the year, just intangible-wise, because outside of the pitching, there really hasn't been that much to like when you watch these Mets. It's a stressful game every single game. It's like even today when we won 8-0. Like I said, it was a 1-0 ball game heading into the 7th inning. You're still stressing. So the fact that we're 10-5 and everything isn't going well makes me happy. It makes me happy. All right, let's talk about these Yanks. The Yankees, I said it on my last show. I'm worried about the Yankees. The Yankees are now 8-7, only 1 game above 500. Carlos Rodon, I want to talk about him to start, because when I was watching him pitch today, he was actually dealing. Carlos Rodon pitched good. Like, he did pitch very well, but he blew up in the sixth inning. He let up 3 earned runs in the sixth inning. The home run ball killed him. Only allowed 3 hits, only 3 walks. So walks and the home run ball killed him. He struck out 8 guys over 5.2 innings. He was dealing. Like, through the first 5 innings, it was like, all right, Carlos Rodon is off to he's going to be off to a very good start. But then the 6th inning, the Giants got to him. They tagged him. It was the 3rd time through the batting order for them. And, they basically just lit him up. They took advantage of him putting guys on base with free passes, and then he let up 2 home runs. Solo shot in the beginning of the game, and then in the 6th inning, not too well. But Rodon now is a 5.48 ERA. He's 1-3 on the year. And the reason I want to start with Rodon, and I know I mentioned that he did pitch good, but you got to get more consistent. Rodon cannot be this inconsistent, because when you're missing Garrett Cole and you're missing Louis Heel, you need guys to step up. And the one guy you were just hoping and expecting to step up was Carlos Rodon. And it's because of his contract. I get it. Like, he's getting paid $165 million over multiple years. So when you're getting big money, when you're getting ace-like money, and you're putting up a 3.97 ERA last year, like, that's not good. Is it good? Yeah, but he's getting paid to be a front-end starter, and he's not even pitching like a back-end starter right now. Last year he pitched like a back-end starter, but right now he's not even pitching like a back-end starter. So that's the tough part with Rodon is the money 100%. But I think even more in the money, I've seen Carlos Rodon be a dominant pitcher before. I've seen Carlos Rodon pitch like an ace before. Like, you look at 2022 when he was with the San Francisco Giants, the team he faced today, he put up a 2.88 ERA. He only allowed 12 home runs over 178 innings, and he had 237 strikeouts in those 178 innings. And he went 14-8. So Rodon has ace-like stuff. Rodon can definitely put together performance after performance and wow you on that mound. And even in 2021 with the Chicago White Sox, he had 24 starts. He went 13-5 through 132.2 innings. He struck out 185 batters, and he had a 2.37 ERA, only allowed 13 home runs. So we've seen Rodon pitch good before. And it was the year of 2022. After 2021 and 2022, his final 2 years in his rookie contract, he got that big money, $165 million deal from the Yankees. And then in his first year with the Yanks, he only pitched in 14 starts, but he went 3-8 and had a 6.86 ERA. And last year he had the 3.96 ERA. Did win 16 games, but 3.96 ERA for a guy getting paid that much, not too well. But also, last year he had like 3 rough starts. So if you take those 3 rough starts out, his ERA would look much different, but he still had those 3 rough starts. So you can't just take away starts. You know what I mean? So Carlos Rodon needs to take a step forward, because outside of Max Fried, this Yankees rotation has been terrible. They haven't done shit. They really haven't. Because you look at Will Warren yesterday, he pitched amazing. But Will Warren, it feels like every other start, he gets rocked. Because his first start of the year against Arizona, pitched good. 5 innings, only 2 earned runs, only 1 hit allowed. Then against Pittsburgh, not a very good lineup either. 4 earned runs on 6 hits. And then against San Francisco the other day, in a nice win, 8-4. Only 2 hits, 1 on the home run ball, 2 earned runs overall, 6 strikeouts, and 5 innings of work. So Will Warren pitched good in his last start, but he's still only his ERA is still bloated, a 5.14 ERA, 14 innings of work. But he did pitch good in his most recent start, so you got to give him credit there. But still, outside of Max Fried, there's no one you're just like confident in to take the ball. Like, nobody has that confidence in Will Warren just yet. He could earn that trust and earn confidence, but Max Fried's really the only one you're confident in. Marcus Stroman, I mean, what is there even to say about Marcus Stroman? Marcus Stroman looks like he shouldn't even be pitching in the MLB right now. Did he get out of that first inning the other day? I don't think he did. Yeah, the Yankees Marcus Stroman didn't even get out of the first inning the other day. He got 2 outs, and before he even got 3 outs, he let up 5 earned runs. He had 3 walks, let up a home run, allowed 4 hits. His ERA now is up to an 11.57 on the year. So Marcus Stroman, he said he was a starter. He doesn't even look like he should be a reliever. Marcus Stroman looks like he should be pitching in the single A right now. But the Yankees, they're just not doing too well pitching-wise. I mean, you look at their ERA, they're 26th in MLB with a 4.72 team ERA. They're striking out a lot of batters. They're second in Ks per 9, but they're also 18th in home runs. They've allowed 16 home runs. 16 home runs is not good. That's the 12th most home runs allowed by all pitching staffs in MLB. Now, offensively, they're second in home runs, 27 home runs, but we also got to take into account they had a game where they had 9 home runs. So their offense is also coming back down to earth. Like Jazz Chisholm Jr. has sucked as of late. Jazz Chisholm Jr. had a great start to the year in his first few games, but right now, Jazz Chisholm, since that first series, his numbers have significantly dropped. He's got a 246 on base percentage, a 169 batting average. Paul Goldschmidt right now, I mean, he is hitting. Paul Goldschmidt, like complete opposite for me. I thought it was going to be Jazz Chisholm having the breakout year, and I thought Paul Goldschmidt wouldn't do too well, but it's going to be the complete opposite. Paul Goldschmidt, today he went 1 for 3 with an RBI. He's hitting 357 on the year with a 482 slugging percentage, 403 on base percentage. Cody Bellinger hasn't done really anything so far. He went 0 for 4 again today. He's barely hitting. He had a hit this series, but outside of that, Cody Bellinger hasn't done anything either. 196 batting average, 304 slug percentage, 245 on base percentage. It's really Ben Rice, Aaron Judge, and Paul Goldschmidt are the only ones hitting in this Yankees lineup. Max Fried's the only one pitching in this rotation. Will Warren is starting to gain trust a little bit now. And then the bullpen, I mean, it's nothing special. The bullpen is nothing special right now. I mean, they had a clean outing today from that bullpen. Mark Leiter did allow a run that went to Carlos Rodon, but he got through his inning without too much damage. Ian Hamilton pitched an inning of clean baseball with 2 strikeouts. And then Tim Hill, who they brought back over the offseason, went 1.2 innings with 3 strikeouts. But I mean, Mark Leiter still having a very, like, he's not having a consistently good year. 4.26 ERA for him. Ian Hamilton, he's had some blunders so far. His ERA is up to a 6. Tim Hill, he lowered his ERA today. He's out at a 3.68 ERA, but going into today, he had a 4.77 ERA. Devin Williams, obviously, now every time he comes out to pitch, everybody is just shitting bricks because they don't know what Devin Williams are going to get. Are they going to get the vintage Devin Williams that had a sub-2 ERA in almost every single year he's pitched? Or are they going to get the Devin Williams that Pete Alonso mashed off of and his 2 almost blown saves so far this year? So, Luke Weaver, you trust him? Luke Weaver is probably one of the best relievers in baseball. I got to crack my back. Oh. Yeah, Luke Weaver is probably one of the best relievers in baseball. But, I mean, Yankees have a lot of holes. They have a lot of holes. Third base is a hole. They have probably, I would say, 3.5 rotation holes because I don't want to call Will Warren a hole just yet. But they have, I would say, 3.5 rotation holes. Multiple holes in that lineup. Cody Bellinger could obviously step it up. So could Jazz Chisholm. But Anthony Volpe, like, I don't care. He can hit 25 home runs, actually, and he will have a good year because he does play good defense. But right now, Volpe, I mean, he's in 226. He's in 226 with his torpedo bat. Nothing to love there with 226 batting average. Jason Dominguez, it's tough because I said it to start the year. I got to cut him slack even if he starts off the year slow. And he's starting off the year slow. He's got a 239 batting average as of now. I'm not going to knock him. He's 22 years old. He is not the guy that you need to break out. Guys like Anthony Volpe, Jazz Chisholm, Cody Bellinger, like, you need them to do something. Austin Wells, we were talking about Austin Wells all offseason. He finished top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting last year. Austin Wells this, Austin Wells that. Austin Wells hasn't done anything. Austin Wells pinch hit today, went 0 for 1, but going into today had a 209 batting average, a 728 OPS, a 286 on base percentage. He has 2 home runs on the year, and those 2 home runs came about 2 weeks ago in back-to-back games against Milwaukee. So really, since that Milwaukee series, When everybody was like, oh, the Yankees this, the Yankees that, the Yankees are winning the World Series, Yankees run New York. They don't even run their own division right now. How are we going to call this team World Series contenders? How are we going to call this team American League Championship contenders when they have multiple holes, when their rotation sucks? You only have one guy right now you trust coming out of that bullpen, and that's Luke Weaver. And you only have one guy you trust in that rotation, and that's Max Fried. And then the lineup, Cody Bellinger isn't hitting, Jazz Chisholm isn't hitting, Jason Dominguez isn't hitting, Anthony Volpe isn't hitting, Austin Wells isn't hitting, Oswaldo Cabrera, he's hitting, but we all expect him to slow down. Paul Goldschmidt, Ben Rice, and Aaron Judge are the only ones hidden in this lineup. Since the Milwaukee series, the Yankees have fallen flat on their faces. They are now 8-7, and you know what? I said it's almost time to panic, and now I am saying it's time to panic. I am going back to where I was after they lost Juan Soto and after they lost Garrett Cole due to injury, losing Louis Heel half the year, losing Giancarlo Stanton half the year. After that, all those four things happened within a time span of like 3 months. I said the Yankees are going to miss the playoffs, and I'm back on that vibe. I am saying right here today, I'm going to stick with it unless they go on a tear. But today at 11:10 p.m. on April 13th, I am saying the New York Yankees will miss the playoffs in 2025. They're going to miss the playoffs in 2025. I hate to break it to you, but the Yankees just aren't that good. They have one good pitcher, and they have one good hitter. That's it. Ben Rice and Paul Goldschmidt, they're also good hitters too, but they're not going to be hitting above 300 all year. We all know that. So they need Jazz Chisholm. They need Cody Bellinger. And if they don't pick it up, they're not going to do too well. Because this pitching rotation is going to let up a lot of runs. And if they're not scoring a lot of runs, like they did against Milwaukee in that first series of the year, the Yankees aren't going to be, the team they were last year. They're not going to be that team. Sucks to say it, but it's true. All right, that's it for me today. Thank you for watching, whether you're on X, YouTube, or Facebook. Hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. We just hit 400 subscribers, so we're trying to get to 500 right now. That's it for me, though. Thank you again for watching. I'm out of here. Deuces.